Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Beard is growing in nice. Trim it and shape it up tonight. Coming along nice. I feel much better. I was talking to people at work, I think last week, who the fuck knows? And maybe it was a dating app. I don't know. But I was asking, we're talking about worst fears, I think. And I brought up that I don't know if I've talked about this before, but I brought up that my two worst fears are prison and cancer. I feel like we talked about this, but we're going to talk about it again. I don't care. So, prison and cancer. I think they tie for number one. I don't know what my official number two would be, but number 1A and 1B would be prison and cancer. And I remember I have nightmares a lot about going to prison, and it's probably because of my nighttime habits, right? I like background noise while I'm going to sleep. It helps me fall asleep. And usually I have forensic files on. And I have Hulu. I don't pay for it. I have Hulu though, and I'll just play that in the background, and then I'll lay it on my my nightstand. IKEA, fucking great. I have one in my living room. It's amazing. Very sturdy for an IKEA furniture. It's great, but very heavy. Very heavy. Look into it. I don't know what it's called, but circular end table or something. I don't know. But I usually go to bed between like 12 and 1-ish every night. And I like to get up between like 8, 9 at the latest. But when I start going to sleep, I'll turn that on and I'll put my phone down, and then it'll automatically turn itself off at 3 a.m. But I have some of the weirdest dreams while it's still going in the background. I frequently, usually I'll sleep all the way through the night, but I'll frequently wake up in the morning and glad that what I just dreamt about was a dream. Because a lot of times I murder people, or I'm being accused. That my biggest fear is being accused of murder. Single and looking, but when I was with my ex, she would be, especially when we were in college, because we were about 2 hours apart at that point. But my biggest fear was like when she didn't text me back. Not that like, oh, she's cheating on me. No, the bitch is dead. She's not a bitch. She's a nice guy. But she's dead. Somebody murdered her. That's the first thought in my mind. The second thought is the fucking cops are going to blame me, because they always, and they'll openly tell you, they look, family, friends, and significant others are the ones that they look at first, especially the significant other part. Because if you have an argument and then fucking 8, 10, 12 hours later, somebody dies, I don't want to be under that scrutiny. I'd be terrified. But yeah, I'd be the first person that they would look at. Like, I don't murder people. I don't. And I just don't want, and I feel like I'd be wrongly convicted. Happens all the time. You're wrongly convicted. I'm 2 hours away, even though like I'm on my phone and it's pinging from the cell towers 2 hours away. I know what they're going to say. They're going to be like, well, did you give your phone to a friend or somebody else and they were using it while you were, and I'm like, no. My mind is, that's, first, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's probably still my worst fear. Because now I think about it, and we've been broken up for like 2 years now. And if she winds up dead, one, they're going to look at her current boyfriend. But then two, they're going to look at me still. And I'm like, I can't get away from it. They'll be like, you're the ex. Do you guys have any kind of animosity towards each other or whatnot? Like, no, Detective Bill, I would shut the fuck. I don't want that. And then, you okay? My dog is coughing over here. Are you okay, baby? Good girl. Okay, I love you. Great dog. Great dog. So, I just, because they would really like stay on me for a while, because one, I ain't saying a word. I didn't do it, but I'm not saying shit. Because you say the wrong thing, and then they're going to be like, well, he said this, and then now you're spending the rest of your life in prison. Just give me the death penalty. I don't believe in the death penalty, but just kill me. So, that's my biggest fear. Honest, I don't want, I feel like I would be fine in prison. I tell people that. Like, I feel like I would make some good friends in prison. And then everybody's like, no, Colin, you wouldn't. And I'm like, really? I feel like you can meet some nice people, but there's some bad people. I'll give you that. But I don't know. But I don't want to go to prison. I don't want to find out. I like my freedom. I do. Yeah. But yeah, I would lawyer up right away. And they'd be like, this motherfucker did it. Right? He didn't say one word to us, right? They're calling me or they're coming to visit me, and I'm like, I'm not even saying yes. I'm not saying no. I'm not saying my motherfucking name. I don't care what today's date is. We ain't saying shit, right? First thing I'm going to do is find a lawyer, a good lawyer. Be like, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Lawyer, or Ms., I need your help. Being accused of murder. Even if they're not accusing me, I'm not saying shit. I'm getting a lawyer. And they're going to be like, that motherfucker did it. He's the murderer. You can't do anything. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. It scares me to death still. So that would be my number one biggest fear. Number two would be cancer. So cancer runs into, I think my dad's definitely, my dad's family, my dad's side, and I think my mom's side as well. I don't know. But I don't want cancer. Everybody on my dad's side smoked, though. That's probably the fucking root cause. But cigarettes, I smoke weed. Maybe I get cancer from that. Play this back in 25 years. So, one time, my ex and I, when we were together, we went to go get her car washed at this car wash. And it was a good car wash. It was all right. And, but we went, and we were cleaning out the car, because then you do your car, you get all the junk and shit out of there. So there was a pack of unopened cigarettes in her glove box. I was like, what the fuck is this? She hadn't smoked. And she's like, oh, that was for so-and-so. I actually forget her name. As a birthday present, because her friend smoked. And I was like, oh. And it was like, yeah, the birthday passed a while back. She's like, I just forgot about him. And I was like, well, if you decide to give her some cigarettes, Venmo me and I'll pay you for the pack that you're going to have to buy again. Because I opened these bitches. Because I've never opened a pack of cigarettes in my life. The closest that I've been to opening cigarettes would be like handing the pack to my dad. Because he always smoked. That would be, I would never open it up. I would never look. But that was the closest I got. I've never smoked a cigarette. But as a joke, I took all of the cigarettes out of the pack. And I put them in my mouth, filter in, how you do it, and didn't light them. And it was probably like a couple weeks. I was terrified of getting cancer from that. Didn't light them, threw them right away, but I'm like, my lips touched it. I don't know what, I was convinced I was going to die of cancer right then. But I never had the inclination to pick up cigarette smoking. Never. Have I wanted to? I've had I feel like the urge to smoke, but I choose not to. And I think it stems from when I was growing up. I was born in 95. So it's kind of when I was growing up and was a child, young boy in America, that was kind of the very tail end. That was right at the end of people smoking in restaurants and wherever the fuck else you could smoke. You have the fucking the partitions. You know, you go to Bob Evans and everybody's fucking, you know, granny's over there lighting up her cigarettes. And that little partition for smoking and non-smoking, it ain't blocking nothing. You know, it's blocking the smoke from going directly into somebody's face. But it'll still go through the air and you're still going to breathe it in. Secondhand smoke. Just bad. So, I remember going to the bowling alley. Damn, it looked like a fucking foggy ass day. Because I remember my grandma and grandpa, and a lot of my like family at that time were in bowling leagues. And like every like Tuesday or something like that. During the weekday, I know. And we'd walk in there, and my mom would take us because we would have candy bars, the boxes of candy bars to sell for school because, you know, prostitute some kids out here for some fucking candy to make the school some money rather than actually, you know, give the schools more money. I don't know any school where you're selling a $50 box of fucking candy and the school is making any substantial money. Let's do the math here. So we say how many kids we'd have in class. 300. Let's say 300 for the whole school year that's going to be doing that. Times $50 a box, I feel like was the going rate. Or was it 100? Let me say 100, just to be conservative with it. All right? Equals $30,000. That'll buy you a textbook. But what they would do is you got to deduct the 30 grand. So you just prostituted some kids for 30 grand, conservative number. And what they would do for the kid that would make, or the top like 5 or 10 kids or whatever, they want a trip to the McDonald's, one of the McDonald's. That town has 6, I think. And if you walked around there, you'd be like, that place has 6 McDonald's. And I love McDonald's. I love McDonald's. When I say I love McDonald's, I don't have a sophisticated palate. You know, the less flavor, the better it tastes for me. I don't understand it. But they would, the top 5 or 10 kids or whatever, they would be able to, they want a trip in a limo, which I thought was cool, to McDonald's. I don't know what their limit was, but I mean that's $2,500, let's say. You got the limo driver, you're paying him and stuff. So $2,500 conservative. And then sometimes they would have the fucking that blow up machine where there's like a bunch of dollar bills in there, and then the air is going around. You have to catch as many in like 30 seconds as possible or whatever. They had that for those kids, and I was never part of that group. I was not interested in prostituting myself around the neighborhood, knocking on doors, you know. And it's always in the evening. It's always in the evening because you have to fucking school, and you come home and it's already evening. And you're knocking on doors, people are eating dinner, they don't answer, and they're like, oh, come back later, I'm eating dinner now. And you don't come back later, or you do and they don't answer. Because you're a kid. You don't know. You know, what I do now? Actually, last week I was working and somebody's knocking on the door. I was like, I don't have a maintenance request in. Who the fuck? Who's knocking on the door? I didn't order food. What the fuck's going on? So I look through the peephole because I think number 2 worst fear is being murdered. I think that is. That is actually. So number 2, before we get to this, number 2 of worst fears for Cullen is being murdered, and not any sort of which way. You know, like I can go to the grocery store and be like, I ain't gonna get murdered. You know, I can go down to you know, restaurants and the mall and shit like that, and I don't feel like I'm gonna get murdered. You know, I live by a mall now, and there was a murder a few weeks ago or a couple months ago or whatever. Right in the mall, somebody got shot. But I wouldn't fear of that, because in those instances, you know Like, yeah, you might get hit by crossfire. What's the likelihood, right? But those are targeted shootings, right? Somebody fucked something up or fucked somebody over. Yeah, they're getting some payback. Not saying it's right, not saying it's wrong, but those are targeted hits. Targeted hits. Now, sometimes we live in America. I do, at least. A lot of people do. 300 million people or something like that. I don't know. And, then, I mean, yeah, there's a likelihood that you're going to get, shot and killed. You're in a bar or whatever. In a mass shooting, but that's different. Just try not to be the first person shot. I mean, just be aware of your surroundings is all. Just be aware of your surroundings. If you see somebody and it's fucking July, and they're walking around, they got a big ass trench coat on, there's some bulges coming out. I don't care if I'm in a fucking restaurant. I'm going to dine and dash because I'd rather dine and dash than dine and die. D&D or D&N or D&D. Dine and dash, dine and die. Oh, they're both D&D. All right, well, interchangeable. Dine and dash is better than dining. And if you think about it, you get a free meal. Yeah, there's some tragedy involved, but you got a free meal. America. Great place to live, But my worst fear is not the mass shootings or whatever. I don't fear for that. I don't care. My fear is opening the door, getting shot right in the face, right in the head, and then it's over. It's done. And I fear for that because I don't know, honestly, what my dad was into. So I feel like I'm going to be at the target of something because I don't know what he was into. It's still, I don't know. I Googled him. There's not much that comes up about him. But there was, I don't know. I have to do some more Googling on that, but that's my biggest fear. I don't know what he was into, and I don't want to get a bullet to the head because of it. So I looked through the peephole, right? And last week or whatever, somebody's knocking on the door. I was like, what the fuck is this? I always get to check. I looked through the peephole, and it's a little kid and holding something, and I'm not about to open the door because he's selling something. And I don't want to buy it. I don't want to buy it. Not because I don't support the children. I don't, but that's not the only reason. If they're selling something good, right? He could have been in the Cub Scouts or whatever where they fucking sell the popcorn. I got popcorn. I don't need to buy your overpriced popcorn, but thank you. I'm not good at turning down adults. Sure the hell not good at turning down a kid. He's going to swindle me into some shit. He's going to leave and I'm going to fucking $300. I'm just like, what the hell? And he's going to go home smiling because he's going to be taking a fucking limo ride to McDonald's tomorrow. Not on my dime, Frankie. I don't know if that was his name because I didn't answer the door. But it's just not my cup of tea. Not my cup of tea at all. He knocked a few times. And I was like, oh, he's got to go away at some point. I'm like, yeah. But I do not answer the door. If I didn't order anything, food, Amazon, hookers, I haven't. But, if I didn't order anything, I sure in the hell not going to answer the door. Because I don't like, uninvited things. You open the door to one person and get a bullet in the head. People think I'm crazy. But a couple years ago, right around where I used to live, it was like right around the corner from my old apartment at the time. But I already moved by this point. But I was reading an article where a woman lived in a house right around the corner from where I stayed. Was about 6 a.m. or something. Somebody knocks on her door. She answers it. Who answers the door at 6 a.m.? What the fuck? What are you doing awake at 6 a.m.? Maybe getting ready for work, but the hell are you answering the door for? Ain't nothing good gonna come at 6 a.m. when you answer the door. I mean, that's like answering the door at 3 a.m. to an unknown stranger. There's no difference. No difference. And then she got shot in the head. Swear to God. Swear to God. She got shot in the head. I think she survived, from what I read in the article. But I'm like, God damn, what a lesson to learn. Don't answer the fucking door. Maybe she ordered something. Who knows? Maybe she ordered a bagel for breakfast. I don't know. But what I do when I order food, I always think it would be weird to, like when the DoorDash guy is there or gal, and you open the door and no, I wait until they have walked away. Then they're walking away, and then you're like, oh, thank you, or have a great. I already tipped you well. We don't need to have all that. It's just awkward conversation. I don't know. Social anxiety I have, so it's probably part of it. But I feel like that would just be very awkward. Like, oh, I'm going to bend down and get my food. I'll thank you so much. We don't need all that. It's quicker to wait for them to walk away, grab your food, and you don't have to say a goddamn thing. I'm sure they're nice. That's not it, though. So, yeah. No. It just makes me uncomfortable to think about. So, but I feel like a lot of people are that way. They're just like, I'm going to wait for them to walk away. And then, we'll get our food. I ordered food last night. I don't know why, honestly. I just had a hankering for ordering. What the fuck did I order? Subway. I got Subway for dinner last night. It was delightful. And I'm trying to not order food as much as I have been. I'm trying to eat more. I'm trying to eat healthier. I'm trying to eat healthier, honestly. I like to do yoga. I try and do yoga most every day or every weekday. Take long walks with my dog, the weekends when I have her. And have I talked about having split custody of my dog? I don't think I have. I'm not going to get a response at the moment here. But if I have, let me know. If you let me know, I don't care. As long as you're having a good time, I don't fucking care. I don't know if YouTube lets you smoke on camera. This is not marijuana. The medical card. So, I think with the medical cards, I don't know if this is incriminating myself or not, but fuck it. The state of Ohio, so I recently went to my PCP, primary care physician, and I had some medications with her that I needed to refresh on. And I asked her, I was like, I looked on the list and I don't think she was on there, but I just wanted to be sure of how it worked. And I was like, oh, do you, because this month my card expires, medical marijuana card expires. And I was like, oh, do you write recommendations for those? And she's like, no, there's only a few, or a handful of doctors in Ohio that are able to, and they're not one of them. And I didn't ask too many questions, but I think it's it's probably a limited basis. But there are, I was turned on it by a friend, and I was like, oh, how'd you get your medical marijuana card? Super fucking easy. So she gave me the number of the doctor office that she called. It's just solely a doctor's office where you talk to a doctor, and since COVID, you don't have to meet with them face to face, all over the phone. And they just ask you, first when you get it, you pay, I think it was like $150 for the initial visit, and then it's like $100 each year, because it expires each year, because fuck the government, they want their money. So each year it expires, you have to pay $100 to the doctor, depending on the doctor you go to, it more or less. And then you have to pay $50 to the fucking state of Ohio on top of that to renew your card. It's a racket. It's a fucking racket. I'm opposed to paying the government for anything I don't need to, but the friend I had that I was buying my weed from, well, she wasn't selling it, but she knew a guy that was selling it. Unreliable fuck. But I think she ended up getting her medical card or whatever. So I didn't know anybody that could, sell it or give me a, good deal on it. So I was like, fuck it, I'll get my medical card. And 5 minutes over the phone. I looked on their website because it was like not all conditions or you can get a card for. So I was like, well, let's pick some. So I picked a couple and went with it. 5 minutes over the phone, and they're like, oh, what's going And I think I went with PTSD and fucking shit. Forget the other one. I went with a couple, PTSD and something else. And you just give them a bullshit story because they don't care. Right? This is their sole business, is giving out medical marijuana cards. So you're gonna leave with one. If you don't, you're an idiot. 5 minutes over the phone, and they email you the recommendation, and you go to the State Board of Directors of Ohio or pharmacy or whatever, and you pay your $50, and then you get your fucking card. You can either get one in the mail. I think it charges more. Or you can use a just online copy on your phone. So that's what I do. Just take a screenshot, and then when you go into the dispensary, the one I go to it's very safe. It's a nice one. It's door is always locked, and there's a armed guard comes and lets you in, and then they check you in. They look at your driver's license, and they look at your medical marijuana card, make sure none are expired. And then you go and you sit down, and it's a couple minutes, and then they're like, "Hey, Cullen, we're ready for you. Number 7, lane 7 or whatever." And you go in and you buy it. And I do it online. So you can't prepay online, unfortunately, fuck Ohio, but you can pre-order online and then, go during, whatever set time you want to choose to go in and pick up your weed. But they have a lot of deals going on at the one I go to. Terrasana, if you're in the Columbus area, it's fucking great. You should go there. Terrasana and Grandview is the one I go to. There's a gas station right next to it, and I felt super awkward one day because I needed gas, and I picked up my weed, and I, drove over right next door to get gas, and all of the fucking pumps had bags over them because they either were out of gas or they didn't sell. I was like, are they not in the business of selling gas? I've seen other people get gas there, and I still have, but I've only been that one time, and I never went back again because I felt awkward, social anxiety. So I just felt like an idiot at the pumps. I was like, you can't even get gas here. I'm an idiot that thinks I can. That's why I stick with the same gas stations. There's a couple in the Columbus area that I'll go to. Frequent one I go to is UDF right around the corner from my place. There's another one over downtown where my ex lives that I know of. It's BP. But yeah, try and keep them the same. But yeah, medical marijuana cards. I think marijuana should be legal from 7 and up. 7 and up. I think 8-year-olds should be in chemistry class or whatever class they're taking at that young age. They can vape, right? They can smoke some bowls. I feel like that'd be a great world. I'm just kidding. Too young, but I think it should be recreational. I think you should be able to do whatever the fuck you want to do. Honestly. I don't understand. This is not the weed talking. It's helping, but this is just my thoughts in general. It baffles me. I was thinking a lot about it this weekend. It was like think about it. Like, we all live in I think a simulation. But we all live here where other humans, we're told, have, way before us have said, this needs to be done this way, that needs to be done that way, and things are just the way they are because that's the way they've been. And that pisses me off when people say that. But think about it. Like, we started supposedly from nothing. We had grass and trees and plants, however fucking they say life started, whether you're a Jesus fuck or you are, a smart person. Not saying that, people that believe in religion are dumb, but yeah, whatever you want. But we supposedly came from nothing. And then we have everything that we have now. Like it's baffling to think about how you can go from literally nothing to creating what we have now, where I can be on my phone and message somebody all the way across the world and they'll get it right away. It'll show them when I'm typing, right? It'll show it as soon as it's sent. Like, think about that. Like, how did we go from chewing on bark and hunting and gathering for our own meals to what we have now? We've been to outer space. We've been to the moon. We've sent things to Mars. We have a helicopter and a rover on Mars as we speak. We have the 2 Voyager aircrafts that are now in interstellar space. Those were just created essentially from nothing. Baffling. Doesn't make sense. And I don't believe it. That's why I think we're in a simulation. But it's baffling to think about. Like, if that is the real life, where life is real, that's just baffling to think that humans came from nothing, they say, and have made and created what we've created and done today. And not just today, but also for the, every day there's new creations happening. Every day. The new iPhones come out in a month, less than a month. I have the iPhone 13 Pro Max. Big hands. And I don't know, I might get the 14 Pro Max. I don't know. I haven't read much about it. I know it's going to have, there's talk of a always on display. And instead of the notch, it's going to have a hole punch and a circle or whatever they call it. I don't know. It's going to have a faster chip, but mine already has 120 hertz display. I don't care about always on display like I used to, because I used to have some Samsung devices and I was like, damn, this is nice to have. So you can like quickly see what notifications. But now that I have an Apple Watch, and as soon as I get a notification, it pops up on my wrist and I can just look. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Boom, we're done. I don't feel like I need a always on display now. Like, it's not a 3-4 years ago, or whatever, when I came out with the first OLED iPhone, the iPhone 10. If they had an always on display at that point, that would have been a big selling point for me. But now that I have an Apple Watch, it's not. I don't feel the need to have it, because I have everything that I need. Because I always look at it. I always on displays for notifications, which I feel like is the majority of usage for those. But I have a watch, so personally, I don't feel the need for that. So I don't know. I think this would be the first year that I wouldn't upgrade my phone, and I just don't think this year, from what I've seen so far, my mind may change after their Apple event next month. But as of right now, I don't think there's a big enough change from the 13 Pro Max to the 14 Pro Max to justify that. I just don't think so. Now, I don't think they're going to, but if they added split screen mode, Apple, if you're listening, probably not, but if you added split screen mode, I can have 2 apps at the same time. The screen is big enough, there's no reason we can't do that. It's a Pro Max. Come on. That would sell me, right? If it's only for the new iPhones, you don't have it on the 13 Pro Max, you can only have it on the 14 Pro and Pro Max. Sign me up. I will get that phone right away. But I pre-ordered my 13 Pro Max in Sierra Blue last year, and it came here the day that it went on sale in stores and everything. It was a Friday. And I could not wait to open that bitch up. Could not wait. I was super excited. I liked the flat edges because I had the 11 Pro Max. I didn't get the 12. But it was, the only reason I didn't get the 12 was because I didn't have the 11. I went from a Pixel to the iPhone a few months before the 12 release. So I was like, I'm just going to get the 11 Pro Max now, and then 12 Pros and 12 Pro Maxes. There wasn't too much of a difference. But the 11 series had they're still the rounded edges, or I think that's how you describe it. The rounded edges, where the 12 and the 13s, and then probably the 14s have the like the bricky version, squared off, easier to hold. I like the squared off version better, and it feels bigger and heftier because the 13 is bigger and heftier than the 13. But I don't know. Apple's gonna have to pull some shit out of their shoes this year to get me to switch to the 14 Pro Max. So we'll see what is officially coming out, because I haven't really read too much about it. I haven't watched too many, leak videos of, oh, they're saying this is here, that's there, and I just haven't. And a lot of it is nowadays with each new iteration of the phone, whether it's Apple or it's an Android phone, they're typically incremental upgrades, because there's not, at this point in the game, there isn't much that they can change, right? I mean, the whole entire front is almost screened, so we don't have much room there. Right now they're putting in bigger batteries. That's good. Better cameras, faster processors, better silicon. I mean, so there's a lot that they're doing. It's crazy to think that's an incremental update, but it is. It's something that you're not, like, you would notice a little bit, right? When I got the biggest, I think that was a huge change from the 11 Pro Max to the 13 Pro Max. I think it was a huge change. Like, the battery size, this battery is amazing. It is the best battery life I've ever had on a phone. Best, by far. And it was a big change. That was a good upgrade that I made. So I don't know. I mean, I honestly do want to get the 14 Pro Max. But I'm not going to upgrade this year because I want that. I'm going to upgrade because they sold me on it. That's what I want. I want to be sold on that. I want you to sell me, because I have a great phone now, right? I have a great phone now. Always on display, and the pill and the punch hole versus the notch. It's not going to sway me one way or the other. It's not. I think if you look at it, at least from what I've seen, we have to see the actual version, but I'm thinking that the pill and the punch hole design is ultimately going to take up the same amount of real estate as the notch does on the 13 Pro Max, because the notch is a little bit smaller than it was on the 11s and 12s. So I think ultimately it's going to be about the same size, right? It's going to be smaller in area, but I don't think there's going to be really anything added on the status bar on top when you're on the home screen. It's really not going to do, I don't think we'd have to see the implementation of it. It might sell me. I don't think so at this point. But I think just looking at the notch on the 13s, it's not that big. So if you just take, some of that real estate, I think it's going to take up the same amount of real estate. I think it's just a different look on the front, but it's going to take up the same amount of real estate, ultimately, right? Like, you'll still have some more screen in there, but overall, that area right there is where the notch is. It's going to be still taken up with the punch hole and the punch hole and the pill. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see the implementation of it, but I think I'm right. But they're going to have to pull some shit out of their shoes to get me to upgrade. Like I said, I would love to upgrade. I just love to buy new shit. It's probably a problem. I don't know. But I love to buy new shit. Like, I want to be sold on that, though. Like, I want to be blown away. I'm going to be like, I have to fucking upgrade. I have to upgrade because of X. this feature or what they're doing with this implementation. I don't think it's going to happen. From what I've seen, it's not exciting. It's not exciting. Not exciting enough to upgrade from a 13. So I'm probably going to, I'll keep you guys in the loop, but I don't think I'm going to upgrade. Stranger things have happened. Speaking of Stranger Things, I think I made it through like part of season 2 when season 2 first came out, and I really liked the show. And then I just started getting out of it. And then now they're like 2-3 years between each second season. Ain't got time for that. And then you forget of everything that happened. So now you have to rewatch season 1, season 2, I don't even know what season they're on now. But you have to continue watching them. Because it's been so long between them that you don't remember what happened. I ain't got the time. I don't want to do that. What I started this yesterday. I started The Sopranos. I haven't seen The Sopranos. It's a very good movie. Or show, I mean. Very good show so far. I'm on like season 1, episode 3 or 4 or something like that. It's amazing. So they've already come up with creative ways of killing people. And I heard it only gets more creative, so we'll see. But I think there's an article that I saw recently where Gandolfini, I forget his first name, but the actor who portrayed he's the main character. He would be contacted sometimes by actual people in the mob, La Cosa Nostra. And, they would give him guidance on, how to make it, as authentic as possible. And, they'd be like, oh yeah, we like how you're doing X, Y, Z. When you do this or when you say that, you should do it this way. So they're kind of coaching him to be, as authentic as possible and putting an authentic product out there about their life. And I like that aspect of it. I enjoy that when different projects have the realism, from the mob or, whatever kind of area you're working in. You want the most, like, you want to feel like it's real. But obviously they have to put some spin on it. It's, people are supposed to be into it, but, they take some liberties with some of the things. But I think for the most part, you should be authentic as possible because that comes across to the person, whoever's watching it comes across to them, right? Because if something is more authentic, right? Because, for example, the Staircase show on HBO Max that was based on the actual documentary on Netflix. The Staircase on Michael Peterson, his murder trial, murder conviction, everything. You should look into it if you haven't seen it. Highly recommend. I own his book. It's great. So, but they took a lot of liberties in the HBO show that they portrayed it in a way, and everybody was pissed off at them. Everybody that was involved, right? The filmmakers, Michael himself and his family, David Rudolph, the attorney for Michael at the time, were pissed off at the liberties that they took, that the filmmakers took for the HBO series, where they portrayed different things completely different, completely inaccurate, but they portrayed it in such a way, and they framed it in such a way that it was a direct remake from the actual documentary. But it wasn't. It was far from it. And I watched the first few episodes, and it just... David Rudolph, he even said, he's done some interviews about it because people are asking him, oh, what do you think about this episode? What do you think about the show in general? He's not happy, and he lets everybody know. But he also said that the filmmakers, or that he offered to the filmmakers when he heard about it, that they were going to be filming. He said, hey, if you guys would need somebody on set, an expert on set to make sure it's as realistic as possible, I'd be happy to do it. They did not take him up on his offer. I don't know if they ended up hiring anybody watching the show. I don't think they did. But there were a lot of inaccurate depictions of things that did happen or things that didn't happen, but just with the liberties that they took and portrayed it in such a way that it was realistic and it was based off of the actual documentary, and these things are factual. And I watched it. I couldn't even make it through the full season. I was like, this is fucking bullshit, right? Like, I don't know much. I'm not a lawyer. I've never been to law school, but I can tell when something is in a courtroom drama, right? And you're in a scene in a courtroom and you're doing some shit. One, I saw the original documentary. That didn't happen, or that didn't happen that way, right? Inaccurate on that end. And then, just in general, there were some scenes, and not just the courtroom, but out in public and whatever. I'm like, that did not and would not have happened. So I stopped watching. I was like, you take just so many liberties. Like, I don't think anybody worked on that's actually stepped inside of a fucking courtroom in my entire life. You didn't even have to. You could have had a fucking court reporter do help them portray a better job than they fucking did. It was bullshit. So I stopped watching. I was like, this is fucking stupid. So, last one though, on Netflix, and there's one on HBO Max. If you haven't seen it, the one on, I don't know if it's the same one on HBO Max, but the one on Netflix is called Trainwreck Woodstock 99. I've watched it probably 2 or 3 times in the last week. I'm probably going to watch it some more. It is so interesting. I don't know if I talked about this either, but it's interesting to see the differences from the 1969 original Woodstock to, and they touched on the 1994, which I didn't even know that was a thing, and I don't think a lot of people did either, to Woodstock 99, and the differences where with Woodstock, the original in 1969, it was a bunch of peace and love, and there was families, and everybody, it was just a good time, right? There was a good time. Nobody burned shit to the ground. Nobody was fighting all the time. It was just solidarity. People just smoking some fucking weed, just enjoying some music and having a good weekend. And the guy that came up with it, Michael Lang, he was interviewed extensively for the 99 documentary, Woodstock 99 documentary. And, but just seeing the difference, because in 1969, it was more of, come and enjoy everybody and listen to great music. And it wasn't about the money. And then you go to, I don't know about 94, but you go to 99, Woodstock 99, and it was nothing but about the money. Everything was about that dollar. So, and that comes across to your consumer, right? Because you have to charge for tickets, and you have to charge for food and whatnot. But you don't have to charge the way that they did. And so what happened was, during the initial discussions, they wanted to make cuts because, the people at top are like, well, we can get, how much more money if we cut this and that and that? Oh, cool. Let's do that. So, one, they didn't have enough security. You had like 250, 300,000 people there. You didn't have enough security. And the vendors, so the food and beverage vendors, so everything started under their umbrella, directly with them. So they'd be in charge of everything. But then they started piecing shit out because they were like, well, we want more money because greed is what America is based on. It's our foundation. So the, what the fuck was I saying? Yeah, so they started cutting things to make more money. So they cut the food, beverage vendors, and they contracted out the trash services. So they had no say, and they couldn't do anything about any of those services. There was a lot of the services that they had. They ended up, piecing out to as contracts. And so the food and beverage vendors were selling at an astronomical rate. And the actual Woodstock company or people were not able to say, hey, we need to lower those prices. That's too damn high. They couldn't say that. I mean, they could. Nothing was going to happen because the vendors were able to make their own decisions on pricing because of the contracts. So they can do whatever they wanted. The people that were in charge of the trash, they didn't clean anything up that entire weekend. So the place was a mess. And there was complaints about lack of free water because you're in New York on a, just everything in general about this. And I don't want to ruin the whole thing. So if you haven't seen the documentary, HBO Max, there's one on Netflix, go watch it. If you don't have either of those, you can pirate anything on the internet. So, go Pirates. So, it's just good. I don't want to ruin anything else. Watch it. It's interesting to see, the differences from the original 1969 Woodstock to Woodstock 99, where people are like, we're getting fucking ripped off. This is greedy. This is horse shit. We're not being taken care of. This is not a safe environment. And, they just care about the money. That is all. And that's disgusting. And they fought back against that. They fought back against it the best way they could, and I agree with what they did. I think it was right to tarnish the name of Woodstock, to tarnish the people that were in charge of it, to say, you said fuck you to us, and here's a bigger fuck you to you. We're going to burn your shit. We're going to tarnish your name. Yeah, you charge us a shitload of money, but we're going to fuck you over 10 times harder. So I 100% agree with what they did. I think they could have done more. But it is what it is. But there hasn't been another Woodstock since. I don't know if there ever will be. I don't know. Probably. Money's involved, probably. But I think especially with the documentaries making it even more public of what happened, I think it would be hard for them. I think they would be hard pressed to actually get a decent sized audience after that. You might get some people, but that was in 1999. It's 2022. It's been 23 years. So I don't know. I'm not big on festivals. I'm not big on music. So I've been listening to more music lately, so I'm kind of getting into it, but just not my scene anyway. I've been to one concert in my life, and I would be happy if I didn't go to another. Where's time going? I got to do my yoga. I got to do the yogas. So, again, if you want to see what I look like, come over to YouTube. Certainty with Colin. See what I look like. If you don't care what I look like, or you've already seen what I look like and you're like, no thank you, the audio version, or if you pay for YouTube Premium, I've been paying for it for years, highly recommend. You can have it going on in the background. You don't even have to watch me. Audio going for free in the background. So listen to me wherever you listen to podcasts. If you know anybody that is looking for a podcast, throw my name out there. Oh yeah, this guy talks. He has a podcast. You might enjoy it. You might not. I don't fucking know. If not, let me know. If you do, let me know. If you don't care, let me know you don't care. I'd like to know. maybe this podcast is going on in the background while you're asleep. Maybe you're driving and sleeping, which I've done in the past. We'll talk about that next time. But anyway, have a great morning, evening, night, whatever it is, wherever you are. I will see and talk to you guys next week.